Devereaux!
I'm Mr. Devereaux.
What's that humming noise?
Beethoven's Fifth.
I never said I was more than I am.
Hey, we're back. What's up? Welcome to episode 46 of Kiss Meets the Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, the Foxman.
I'm Star Child.
And I am the Unk Warrior.
All right, so yes, we've been gone for 2 weeks. We apologize. It's been nothing but technical issues. The first time it was, if it wasn't Skype having an outage, and then Brenton with internet issues last week. So we've just been doomed trying to get this thing done. But in the meantime, we wanted to officially welcome and announce Luke as the permanent third co-host now. So everyone give him a nice welcome in the comments and the Facebook page and everything. Excited to have him as part of the show. So, man, a lot's been going on in these last few weeks since we've missed a show. Man, where do we start? Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see, where do we start? I mean, the cruise is coming up this weekend. From what I understand, Bob and Bruce Kulick are going to pull out some deep cuts together. Excited to hear what that means. I did hear a little rumor that Bruce is going to be leaving the boat fairly early, so there's probably no chance of him getting up with Kiss, at least during the makeup show. Because I guess he has some prior gigs with Grand Funk that he has to go to. But nonetheless, that's going to be cool. I said before, I'm excited to hear what Michael James Jackson has to say. What are you guys looking forward to on that?
Well, I this is sort of. I mean, I don't know a whole lot about it, although I've watched some of their videos on YouTube. That band Wicked that I mentioned the other day.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're supposed to be on the boat.
That's the guys that dress in all white.
Yeah,
Correct. Yeah.
yeah. It's just like, I guess, glam metal, for lack of a better term.
And we'd be remiss if we didn't mention right off the bat too. Happy Halloween, by the way. It's Halloween night as we're filming this. Trick or treats here in a few hours around our neighborhood. Take the kids out so they can get me some candy and sit and get into a sugar coma tonight, hopefully. So anyway, another rumor I've heard regarding the Gene Simmons box set, I've heard that they're now going to introduce a payment plan, which, where was that in the first place?
Right.
Number one. Number two, that would probably make it a little easier to do. $2,000 divided into however many payments, I don't know how it would work out. I'm sure it would be a lot more manageable than dumping $2,000 all at one time.
That's for sure.
Because again, the more and more that I keep hearing, samples and the build up for it, the more I want it. Mostly the music, of course, but I've been, from what I understand, Gene's been getting a little more personal about it lately. He's really making it about the fans, and how there's always been sort of that separation between the band and the fans all these years. He really wants to sort of really interact with the people. And another thing he mentioned, which is 100% I agree with, he didn't want this thing to be one of those posthumous box sets where, when he's dead and gone, then something like this gets put out. He wanted to do it while he's still around, able to, visit with as many of the fans as possible. So I thought that was really cool. Like, you're kind of seeing a different side of Gene lately that, usually he sort of hides when it comes to the, media and stuff. But
Well, he's old and sentimental now.
I guess that's the case. I mean, you know, God forbid, knock on wood, I hope there's not something underlying to that he knows about that he's not telling us. But you know, I get what he's saying, though. I mean, you know, you always see these major box sets and things come out after the person's already gone, and you know,
Yeah, like Nirvana.
yeah, and then you always have that. It's like always bittersweet because part of you wishes that person was still there to be able to, you know, hear them talk about it, or you know, play some of the songs live, or whatever the case may be. So, you know, it's good. And the payment plan thing, I looked at the website last night. I didn't notice anything yet. So again, it's pretty much rumor as far as I understand now. But if something like that does pop up pretty soon, it's something I'm probably going to really consider jumping on.
I wonder if you can set the payments, or if they set that for you, like the amount.
I would imagine it's probably a set amount of payments. Like I'm thinking probably $130, you know, a month or something like that, or maybe it's installments where you have to pay like a big lump sum up front, and then it's, you know, $100 a month after that or something. I don't know. So, be interesting to find out, and that would be definitely a much more affordable way to get the box set for myself. A lot of, you know, Kiss fans out there that haven't already been able to order it. So I guess sticking with the Gene thing, he's they've been doing some shows overseas right now, Brazil. You know, the fans over there are just insane, man. That's got to be one of the funnest places to play, is Brazil, because no matter what band you watch playing over there, that crowd is just insane. It's like a sea of people up and down, singing along, you know, chanting stuff.
That AC/DC DVD that came out from
Yeah.
somewhere over there, I can watch that over and over because of the crowd. You know, it's like you almost want to be right in the middle of that. I mean, you probably get crushed, but hey.
Yeah, like you said, the AC/DC, Iron Maiden, Rush and Rio. I mean, all those DVDs, like, gives you goosebumps watching them, just the way the crowd, and they were doing that with Gene. They were doing all these chants for him, and, you know, singing along, you know, singing the harmony, I think, to, I want to say it was Deuce. They were singing the harmony along with the song as they were going. Like, oh.
Nice. Is he doing the box set thing while he's over there too, or has he started that yet?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if any of the dates, you know, for his meet and greet are for over there anytime next year or not. I mean, I know he's got that Australia tour coming up too. So I'm not sure. I would think that would be part of it. But I'm not 100% on that. I'd have to check all the dates again. But, you know, I was looking again, and the closest dates for us, if we were to actually have a chance to do it, would be Detroit. It's like, I think it's like the 20th and 21st of January. So again, we don't know what the weather's like on top of that at that time of year, especially in Detroit. So, but, you know, yeah, I'd like to meet the guy again, but that's not really why I want the box set. I'd be fine just getting the box set with nothing else, you know, without the meet and greet, if need be. I mean, of course, I'd like to meet him again and spend a little, you know, personal time for once, and, you know, I guess ask questions or whatnot, you know, whatever would happen. But did you guys see where they were showing some of the personal items that they're including in the box sets? Some of them,
No.
like one of them they showed was his Demon boot cover from the Destroyer tour.
Oh,
Wow.
They're putting those in one of some of the box sets. It's things like that. So, you know, maybe it's not all going to be you know, crappy little license plates or, you know, things like that, like I originally kind of thought it would be. So
Yeah. That's crazy. That's stuff you wouldn't think he would give away almost, you know?
right. But I guess after all these years and the stuff's just sitting around, and, you know, again, you're not getting any younger. It's like, why not just start giving it to all the fans that, you know, pretty much put you where you're at anyway? And
Right.
it's definitely a way to give back. Just not that easy to obtain it though. At the same time,
Right.
Well, I'm assuming that whatever's in the box set that you order is whatever you get. You can't actually say, they don't give you a list of things you can choose from. It's like, well, I want one of these and in this box set or whatever, because you'd have to get the creature's cod piece. So
Yeah.
how lucky would one of us be to get that?
Luck's one word for it.
Be complete with crabs and everything else. Yeah, I don't know, like, if only one box set would have those particular boot covers, or if he had, how many sets of those boots he had to be able to divide it up, but I'm sure there'll be a good mixture, of things to where, I can imagine people getting on Facebook or message boards, excuse me, sharing what they got in their box set, seeing how much different stuff was included.
So when you say boot covers, you're talking about the whole thing that goes up his leg, right?
Well, just the part that's on the main boot itself, the demon face,
Oh, okay.
like that part. I wish it had the full thing too, but but yeah, I mean, if those are the actual ones from like the Destroyer tour, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, you
awesome.
can't go to Walmart and buy those.
That's for sure. Man, what else has happened?
Well, today is Vanilla Ice's birthday.
Okay, Ice Baby. Also,
I mean, that's not Kiss related. I figured it had to be Kiss related somehow.
I'm sure some way or another, Vanilla Ice probably does tie in with Kiss. Just have to really put some thought into it. Now, of course, today being Halloween, and of course, Kiss is pretty much always associated with Halloween if you go through all the years, and even a lot of the album releases. Well, today especially was when they started the Psycho Circus tour, and the Mad TV special aired that night, and then they went live out at Dodger Stadium, and I think they showed like 3 or 4 songs live from that tour and everything. And that was in what, 98, so here we are almost 20 years from that already. It's crazy. And I still remember watching that like it was yesterday. I think I still have the tape somewhere, actually. I've been meaning to find it.
Well, was it yesterday or the day before the Paul Lynde special? It was the anniversary of that.
Yeah, and also, was it yesterday or the day before was the anniversary of Kiss Meets the Phantom being shown on TV. That of course was a huge moment for all of us Kiss fans, and obviously the namesake of our podcast pretty much. We're always talking about it on the show. You hear clips of it in our intro. It's... So let's talk about that a little bit. Brenton, did you watch it as it aired or afterwards?
Well, I'm not real sure because, when I remember seeing it, and the tape that I have wherever that is, I'm still looking for it, the VHS tape that I taped off TV, it was like a Saturday night movie of the week or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think that was the original broadcast of it, but I don't know how many times they've showed it. It seems like I was reading about that, and I think they only showed it on TV like 3 times altogether. I don't know if that's accurate.
That that promo commercial for that, I always love that, man. It's like perfect. And then the little, if you remember the little ad that was in the TV guide,
Mm-hmm.
that had their faces on it and stuff. I used to have that and ended up losing it over the years. But when was the first time you saw it, Luke?
Oh, I'm sure that I was very, very young. I know that Dad had the actual VHS of it,
Mm-hmm.
and I can't honestly, I can't remember when would have been the first time we watched it, but I remember being utterly baffled by it. That may have been the first time I had seen them, moving around, because of course at that point Kissology was still years away and there wasn't a YouTube wasn't a thing, of course, so there wasn't really a lot of readily available concert footage.
Right.
So that still may have been. Well, I bet honestly, I bet I had been to that farewell tour concert maybe before that, but it would have been right around in that time frame. And
Nice.
as a child, of course, it doesn't seem cheesy at all. It's just as cool as any other thing you could watch, you know?
Exactly. So, what was your guys' first, opinion when you first saw it? Like, how did you react?
I loved it. I thought the whole thing was great.
Yeah, I remember on that VHS tape that I had of it, I would always fast forward through almost all the movie except the parts that Kiss was in, rather they were just doing dialogue or concert footage, because I didn't care about storyline. I just wanted to see Kiss. So.
Right. Yeah, I can't remember exactly when I first saw it, but I remember my dad had recorded it off the TV, which I actually still have that tape, but it's so old and wore out it hardly plays right now, and I wish I can get it, to play decent so I can transfer that version with all the commercials and stuff anyway. But see, I can't remember if that was the first time that I saw them, moving, or if it was that Animalize concert. I can't remember which was first. But it had to be around the same time frame. And, we used to sit and watch that all the time. And I was kind of the same way, Brandon. Like, I would kind of get bored and restless a little bit, waiting. It felt like forever before Kiss came on. And it's like, oh, fast forward and just get it to that.
Well, you were talking about the Animalize one. I remember that Saturday night, MTV had Saturday night concerts. And I remember the ad for it all that week. Kiss and concert Saturday night, this and that. And I remember watching it on MTV at the time, and it was the edited version because they edited a lot of the language and, I don't know, about 2 or 3 different songs. So, but I had that on VHS forever that I taped off of MTV and completely wore it out, because I think I played that probably, and like Luke said, I mean, there wasn't a lot of Kiss footage, and of course that being non-makeup, it was still Kiss. And I don't even know, I think Kiss Meets the Phantom was the only makeup stuff I had for the longest time. I don't think I had anything else until I started ordering stuff through the mail that was like bootleg stuff.
Yeah, same here, Phantom. And then when I finally discovered bootleg videos, I think Winterland was the first one I got, outside of like the home video releases. When I was like, wow, they actually have like the full shows from back then. But yeah, the Animalize was the same way. My dad recorded it right off MTV. That's the way I remember watching it. I can still remember that MTV intro that played right before that, and then it goes right into that doom 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 from War Machine. At the beginning of the show, I still remember that. Like, it's just one of them things that's like burned into my memory. But yeah, so next year, the 40th anniversary for Phantom, we're gonna have to definitely do a big show for that. Big time. We'll have to do a table read or something.
There you go.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah.
It's hard to believe that what was it, 78 when that came out?
Yeah.
Wow.
Almost 40 years now. And then, what would this be, 35 that when it aired on TV? Something like that? Or maybe a little more, 38, something like that.
I'm not sure, really.
Yeah. So I want to say it first aired in like 80, wasn't it? Or I don't know. I can't remember right now.
I don't know. I'd have to Google that because since I don't know who owns the rights to that. Does Kiss actually have the rights to that movie, or is it just the European one because they released the European one on Kissology?
That's a good question. So I'm not sure if they own it or if what was it, Hanna-Barbera?
Barbera.
So I'm not sure if they still own that version and Kiss only owns the Attack.
See, I wonder how that works. Like, say they only aired it so many times on TV from the first time up until whenever. It's like, and then, does that run out after a while? It's like, okay, we can't show it anymore. You know what I mean? Was there like I don't know how that contract would have been drawn up. I don't know what the ins and outs of that kind of stuff, with the TV, since it being a TV movie and all.
Yeah, I mean, when's the last time it aired on TV? I have no idea. Probably in the 80s. Maybe, I don't even know if they showed it in the 90s at all.
Yeah.
I think it'd be cool to, somebody that does some of these local events where they, rent out the theater and show like some old movies, show Phantom in the theater. That would be sweet.
Definitely.
I'd love to see it on the big screen like that. It'd be like a whole new experience.
Looks
Well,
like they showed it in some theaters in 1979. I just looked it up out of curiosity.
Must have had a very limited theater run then.
Wonder how much it would
Outside
cost
theaters.
to like rent one of those old theaters. I wonder how much it would cost to do that.
I don't know. And then I don't know what it would cost to, get the rights to be able to, view it or whatever. Whatever they call that, like commercial use or public viewing. I think you have to get some sort of right to be able to do that. I don't know, that'd be interesting, but I wish somebody would do that, or even at the expo, like just do a special thing like they did that one year with the Vegas, like just have a little event, show Phantom. That'd be something they could do next year for the anniversary.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
Was it yesterday? Was Keith LaRue's birthday, or is that today? I think it's today.
I'm not sure. I missed that.
I think his birthday is on Halloween.
Well, happy birthday, Keith LaRue. Cannot wait for the Indie Expo. I know right now the excitement's with the Atlanta Expo, which, again, I'm really starting to consider trying to go to. 'Cause it sounds like it's going to be really, a really big event. It seems like it's growing more and more. Plus, I was listening to the guys over at Podcast Rock City, some buddies of ours. They're going to do a little like meetup event down there before that. I think it's like the day before the expo, and they're going to have a bunch of special guests there too. And I think that'd be cool to go down and participate in that too, man. That'd be awesome.
How much? I wonder if the tickets. You said they added VIP tickets. I wonder if those are all sold out or not.
I don't know. I haven't checked probably in a couple weeks now. By the time I get a chance to even order them, if we do try to go, they'll probably end up being sold out anyway. So I got a feeling I'm going to miss it, but definitely won't miss the Indie Expo. See what happens with that, if they can maybe get Vinny to come to that too, or because this year's the anniversary for that, isn't it?
I think it is, yeah.
Or next year, whatever you want to say. So
I want to say it's this year, but it could be next year. I mean, if the Atlanta Expo goes really well, for Vinny, I mean, and if they have enough money, I'm sure he probably would do another expo.
Yeah,
I don't know how much money he's making, but I'm sure he's making pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, especially with all the tickets that sold already on top of that, and I think they're I think they were expecting a pretty good turnout, but I think it's more than what they expected. With the way tickets have sold, and for the anniversary at the Indie Expo, I'm excited to see what they pull out. Make it a big one. There's a certain tribute band that would like to play there.
I think we're one of the only tribute bands that has a Eric and Vinny, aren't we?
As far as I know, I haven't really noticed any other ones. I mean, I've occasionally I'll look up other tribute bands on YouTube to see what's out there, and I might have run across like one or two at most that have at least an Eric, but I don't recall them having a Vinny.
Yeah.
So yeah, especially if they were able to get Vinny to come to that would be that much better.
Right.
Well, is there anything else we're missing, or we can just go ahead and get into our topic that we were going to do last week? We had to put it on the back burner for this week.
Yeah, I was right in the middle of mid-sentence when my internet cut off, and it's like, initially I thought it was Skype because that's what we dealt with the week before, and
Yeah.
it's like, I rebooted everything, and then of course went through the whole tech support on the phone after that, and had to get a technician out here. I guess the wire had completely wore through outside. So once he replaced that, everything came right back on. So
Yeah, I think we had gotten like 15 minutes recorded, and then it stopped. And I kept it just in case, and then I was like, that's a lost one. So we thought we would do something, kind of different, and we haven't really done one of these type of ranking shows in a little while now. We thought we would go through and mention, maybe talk a little bit too, but basically rank the best opening track from, all the albums, say like our top 10, top 5, try to figure out what, in our opinion, is the best opening track on any Kiss album. So it could be pretty tough because there's so many major heavy hitters on here, but there are some stinkers on here too. So some of that'll be easy to kind of weed out. And we are going to include the solo albums, Killers, Smashes, Thrashes, and Hits, and also Unplugged. Made a special, inclusion of that, but none of the live albums, of course. I think that was all those were the only extra ones. So let's get into it. So we got, of course, Strutter to start off from the debut album. Got to Choose off of Hotter Than Hell. Room Service from Dress to Kill. Detroit Rock City from Destroyer. I Want You from Rock and Roll Over. I Stole Your Love from Love Gun. And then Rip It Out from the Ace Frehley album. Radioactive from Gene. Tonight You Belong to Me from Paul. I'm Gonna Love You from Peter Criss. I can't even say that with a straight face.
That's number one.
I Was Made for Loving You from Dynasty. Is That You from Unmasked. And then counted Fanfare and Just a Boy as one track, since from The Elder, of course. Creatures of the Night. I'm a Legend Tonight from Killers. Exciter from Lick It Up. I've Had Enough, Into the Fire. Animalize. King of the Mountain from Asylum. Crazy Crazy Nights from that album. Let's Put the X in Sex from Smashes. Rise to It from Hot in the Shade. Unholy from Revenge. Coming Home from Unplugged. Hate from Carnival of Souls. Psycho Circus, title track. Modern Day Delilah from Sonic Boom. And Hell or Hallelujah from Monster. So, yeah.
Are we doing this based on best song, or are we doing it on like for favorite songs, or does it matter one way or the other?
Kind of the same, wouldn't it? Best, favorite. Like what each of us will probably have different lists, I'm sure. So, we could do 10, 5, whatever.
Okay, I see what you're saying. So if we're not technically making a set list, we're just picking what we consider the 10 best from all that.
Right. So
Okay.
ultimately, number one is going to be what we consider the best opening track from every Kiss album, like above all others. No ties for number one. No honorable mentions.
See, my normal instinct is to go with all the classic albums, but I don't want to sort of do that because then I'm leaving out some other ones that I would feel really bad if I didn't include something from certain period.
Well, we could do this like we used to. We'll say 10, and then we'll just take turns. Each of us go one at a time until we get all the way done. So, let me grab a pen. If I can find one.
Here, here. Yeah, I got. Here you go.
Thank you. You're welcome. Of course, I can't find one now that I need it.
You don't have your outfit on either, I just noticed.
I have my panties on, though.
Well, that's a plus.
The fox panties with the fur.
Yeah, you're going to need those. It's getting cold out.
That would be good for trick or treat tonight.
No, it wouldn't.
All right, who wants to go first? I'll just kind of try to keep a mental note of this. You want me to go first?
Whatever. Whatever.
Number 10 would be, for me, I'd have to go... wow. I'd have to say Modern Day Delilah. Fun song. I'd love to play the song. I thought it was one of their best show openers, especially on that tour with the riser that rose over the drums. Number 10 for me, Modern Day Delilah.
For me, I had Tonight You Belong to Me as number 10. Just a really good song, that one. I love the way it starts out clean, and then when it kicks in, it kicks you right in the chest.
Oh, yeah.
Having a hard time over here.
What album's that on?
I think that's on the unreleased Kiss album.
Oh, okay.
That probably never will come out. Oh God, let's see. Well, I agree with both of those songs that you guys already picked, but an opening track for 10. Well, I will say that when Modern Day Delilah came out, I was or single, not the album, which I guess they both came at the same time. I was pretty impressed in how good the song was, and then with the concert footage, in it, I really liked using it as an opener, based on the. Someone said that thing used to belong to Justin Bieber, and they bought that from his stage or something. I don't know if that's true.
Seriously?
That's what I heard. That riser thing that went out. But I'll go with Modern Day Delilah just because I can't think of anything else right off. I'm just going to be honest here. Since we're only doing 10, I'm going to be more selective as I go.
Definitely.
All right, so number 9. As I lose my earpiece. Damn it.
Get a haircut and make that easier.
Wow, I'm such a hippie. I was getting ready to make the joke, so that's going to be my next choice, Psycho Circus. Makeup running down my face.
You guys should have that tattooed on, and then you wouldn't have to worry about it anymore.
There you go. I have to put on regular face makeup to go around the normal
There
face.
you go.
I actually had Detroit Rock City as my number 9.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of the same reason. I think the effect in the intro with the in-ear mic that they had, I always thought that was a really cool effect. And then again, when the song finally comes in, I mean, and even as a live show opener, that one, I mean, it was almost built for that.
Oh yeah, yeah. You know, the album version, it kind of, I mean, you know, that whole beginning piece, that's epic, that's legendary, but it gets to the point where it's almost a little boring. You know, after all these years, it's like I just want to hear the song. Like,
Yeah.
sometimes I prefer that double platinum version because it just starts right off, and you know, so that's why that one might not even make my list, but we'll see.
Right.
Star Child.
I wish I could do that. Well, I really like Just a Boy from The Elder, but I'm sort of, I mean, I'll go with that for number 9, but I sort of feel like what you said with Detroit Rock City. Fanfare is like, you almost want to skip over that and go directly into the music, to the next song. Even though I do consider those sort of the same thing.
I mean, with Fanfare, I guess it's not as long of a piece, so it's a little easier to kind of get through it. And I guess for my ears, you know, I haven't heard it a million times versus the intro to Detroit Rock City.
And also, I don't know if either one of you guys know for sure, but I'd also heard that the beginning of Detroit Rock City, where you hear the newscaster, someone said that was Gene doing that. Is that his voice, or then someone said it was someone else? I can't remember who the someone else was.
To me, it's always sounded like Gene. Gene's always denied it, but I don't know. To me, it sounds exactly like Gene.
I was thinking I had heard that they said it was Bob Ezrin.
Maybe that's the other one.
But no, I agree. It does sound like Gene.
Oh, definitely, yeah. Okay, so number 8 would be, for me, I'm going to go, I'm a Legend Tonight.
So did you pick, what did you pick for 9? I forgot already.
Psycho Circus.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
You know, I guess with Psycho Circus, I don't really like that as a show opener, but on the album, it's perfect. I mean, I wish they would have incorporated that little circus music at the beginning into the live show.
Well, I really liked the song initially. I liked, you know, like you said, I like it better on the album as an opener for the album. But to me, and this is probably just because you know, Kiss has been around forever, and that was one of the first bands I got into. You know, I associate Detroit Rock City or like one of the older tracks as an opening track.
Right.
So Psycho Circus to me is like, that's too new of a song. And I sort of feel that way about Modern Day Delilah too, really. You know, they're like too new of a song. It's like, I don't know what that's about, but it's like almost like now they start open with Deuce, I think is what they've been doing. Probably because of Paul's vocals and stuff, I'm guessing, even though on the reunion tour they opened with Deuce, I think, almost all the time.
Yeah, I think on the all the recent shows they've been doing Detroit Rock City again.
Have they?
I know that's what they did on the Freedom to Rock tour. Yeah. Also. So that was my number 8. Legend. I'm a Legend Tonight.
Gotcha. I had Hate on that. I think it did a very good job of introducing exactly what you're going to be hearing on the rest of the album. Of course, they had that down pretty well on all the albums. Yep. But considering that one was a little bit more of a departure for them than your average Kiss album, you know, I think right from the first riff of Hate, you know, okay, this is going to be a little bit different.
Exactly, because
is that a Gene song or a Paul song?
Gene.
Okay.
Well, you know, back then, and well, hell, probably even up through like the '90s, you know, the first track on an album was real important to try to catch your ear. But nowadays, that's really not important because now it's all about the single and the digital download. You can just download that first single right away, and you know they don't necessarily worry too much about, you know, the track listing as they used to be.
Yeah.
Like a strategic, you know, way to list them.
Well, and a lot of times, I'm not necessarily referring to the Elder, but there was a lot of bands that did concept records, and it went with the storyline too. And like I even heard Gene say recently, I was watching Kiss Extreme Close Up, where he said that somehow Destroyer made a statement, with Beth and God of Thunder. It wasn't initially thought of until after the fact that it sort of, the fans, it sort of clicked with the fans as a statement, I guess.
Right. And that, I've always wondered that, stuff like Delilah, Hell or Hallelujah, 10 years from now, are those going to start being looked at the same way as, tracks like, I don't know, I don't want to say like Detroit Rock City, because I don't think they'll ever be at that level, but, stuff like, I Was Made for Loving You and Stole Your Love, that kind of stuff.
Well, wasn't it around Sonic Boom, or maybe a tour or so after that Paul would introduce a couple of those new tracks as classic? This is a classic. I don't know how he said it exactly. Something he was referring to it being a future classic or already a classic.
Yeah.
It's like, I understand what he's saying, because it obviously sounds like Kiss, but I don't know. It's hard to. I guess it would depend on the fan and when they discovered Kiss.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's with everyone's different story, and a lot of these young kids, modern, Sonic Boom, Monster are probably the only, might even be the only Kiss they know. So
Right.
Delilah and Hallelujah might be the Detroit Rock City and Love Gun or whatever to them,
Right. I think the term classic has a lot to do with it, because classic is really a retroactive term. So it's kind of impossible for anything new to be classic at all. But yeah, years
Right.
from now, I could see where somebody could equate modern day Delilah with Detroit just because they were all so long ago.
Yeah.
Well, and that reminds me too, like with classic rock radio, and I've said this before, I don't know if I've said it on the podcast. It's like when I grew up listening to, we have TUE around here, which is from a Dayton radio station. That's like Zeppelin and, Black Sabbath and stuff. And then now they play stuff like Nirvana and Green Day and Motley Crue and stuff. And it's like, to me, and people my age, I guess, that's not classic rock. I understand it is now because there's been enough time that's passed. But to me, it's like, they shouldn't be on that station, but
Yeah, I feel the same way about that. Like, even a lot of the Metallica they play, like, to me, that's not classic. I don't know, just it's hard to, I guess, comprehend that and accept it, I guess. But
I have a book. I don't remember the name of the book. It's just basically a guide to like classic rock, and it says that classic rock started in, I don't know, like the late 60s, early 70s is when they chronological, and they say it goes all the way up to like 83. And from 83 on, there was very little, if none, what they would consider the classic rock period. And I sort of was, reading it, and it sort of made sense because like with ZZ Top's Eliminator, that came out in 83, and anything after that, like say for ZZ Top, to me isn't really classic rock. So if you take any band and apply it to that year, it does sort of make sense, and I don't know why that is. I think it's because MTV took over a lot of the stuff after that, and it wasn't played on classic rock radio.
One of these days you're going to start hearing like Nickelback on TUE and a lot of that kind of stuff. That's going to be considered classic one of these days. It's just weird to think, but
it is.
So Brandon, we're still waiting on your number 8.
Number 8 was, it's hard to put these in an order. That's the hardest part. Because I was going to say Strutter, but I have to put that up a little higher because that's like one of my favorite songs, I'd say from the 70s at least. I'm trying to rack my brain here to what's other tracks from other albums. Let's see. What was Dressed to Kill? Was that
Room service.
Room service. No, I don't want to put that one on there. See, we got to choose. Room service. Sherlock City. Was I Stole Your Love on Love Gun?
Yes.
I think I'll probably say that because, I mean, any song from Love Gun to me is you know, they're all equal. So, but that song, they've opened the shows a lot with that song too.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So number 7. I'm gonna say Got to Choose.
That's one of Paul's favorite songs, I guess, from what I heard.
Yeah, I wish they would play it more often.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really not out of his vocal range other than a few screams, but he could pull it off.
Yeah.
Or Eric can pull it off.
Yeah. But Got to Choose has just always been one of those iconic opening tracks to me. Like every time I put it on, it's like I could just go back to my childhood when I used to listen to that record all the time. And
I associate Got to Choose with the Alive album a lot because I think that might have been the first time I heard it was on the Alive album.
yeah, and that song translates well to Unplugged as well.
It does.
Yeah, very well. All right, Ankh Warrior.
I got Exciter on my number 7. Again, just pretty much I think the theme of my entire list was just literally what's the best way to start an album. You know, we were talking about that strategically placing songs in certain spots, and it wasn't until I was making the list that it really occurred to me that I said earlier about how they were really good about setting the mood for the rest of the album with their opening track.
Exactly.
About any song, but Exciter's another one for me that does that really well, and I also like how it comes in. You know, it's got the harmonic thing that starts it, and then right away Eric's drums pound in there. I've always liked the feel and the groove of that song.
You know, I don't think they've ever done it wrong with any of the album openers, to be honest. I mean, yeah, like, again, that's why we're doing this. Some of the songs I don't like as much, but I still get it. It's a good setting for the album.
Right.
Mr. Eisen.
Oh, is it me again? Let's see. It's Crazy Nights the first song from that album?
Mm-hmm.
I'll go with Crazy Nights because that's a song that from the 80s period that I never get tired of, and I actually like I like the live version that they've done, like back when they were doing it in the 80s. I like it how they had the extended guitar solo that Bruce does, which I think Tommy does that now the times that they've done it, and then Paul will end it. You know, it's not like a fade out like I think it isn't it fade out on the album.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I like the ending that they do when it's live because Paul sort of adds this little bit of I don't know what you call it, this he extends the words. He takes Crazy Nights, and you've probably heard it several times, but yeah, I never get tired of that song, and I like the video too, which you never see the video, but
yeah, I always liked the way they did it live back then because Eric would do the extended beat at the beginning of it before they would go into it, and you know, I have no problem with that album. It's just the only reason it's hard to listen to sometimes is the overall mix of it.
Yeah,
and,
the production.
Yes.
Lack. Yeah.
It's just missing that low end to it, and if it wasn't for that, that's probably all it really needs to fix it.
Well, and this is not a bad thing, but when I listened to something from the 80s, at the time I didn't notice it. I guess it was in the back of my head, but to listen to like Crazy Nights, the album Crazy Nights, there's so much keyboards on there.
Yeah.
And me and Kat was talking the other day, and I was saying, like even Ozzy Osbourne's Bark at the Moon, that album is full of keyboards. But at the time, I never really realized how much keyboards was on it. But you take pretty much any album, there's a few exceptions here and there, and there's like so much keyboards. It's almost like the way people dressed in the 80s. You sort of just, oh, well, that's just the 80s, so you didn't think about it. So it's sort of like that, I guess.
Wasn't it the same dude that did keyboard on both?
It sounds like it could have been. I'm not sure.
I'm pretty sure it was, because he was like the ghost keyboard player with Kiss on that tour, and then he also played with Ozzy.
Maybe it was.
Number 6, I'm going to go with Creatures of the Night. I much prefer the Alive 3 version, if we're going along those lines, versus the actual album track. The album track it's still a heavy hitter. It's one of the best, well, obviously one of the best, that's why we're doing this, but ways to open up the album. I mean, when it's hard to go back and remember what it was like the very first time you heard that, but after listening to The Elder and then you put that on and you just immediately know, like, holy shit, they're pissed off, they're back. This is different.
Well, I think Paul really enjoyed singing that one live.
Mm-hmm.
Because I watched a lot of the live clips back when they were doing it. Like, when he had his voice, he could sing it any way he wanted to. I think he really enjoyed doing that.
Yeah, and I love the Alive 3 version. Just as much as I've talked about it in the past, the overall sound of that album anyway, and I love the way they did it on there. So.
I've had enough Into the Fire as number 6, and just this pretty much the same as Exciter. Really, again, it set the mood for the album. One of my favorite things about that song is the energy. I mean, right off the bat, it's fast, it's mean, it's more metal than Kiss had been up to that point. So I think my metal sensibilities were always drawn to that song.
Oh yeah. Honorable mention from that album too, Under the Gun.
Oh yes.
Yeah, I've always said that's Paul's, answer to Fits Like a Glove. It's, to me, those two songs just mesh so well together.
Yep.
Drawing blank. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was trying to think. Don't always work. What do we got left? What albums have we not picked, or have we? Or I guess we're still picking them all, aren't we?
Well, I mean, for you've picked Sonic Boom, Elder, Love Gun, and Crazy Nights.
Oh, okay. I got a ways to go then.
Mm-hmm.
What are we on, number 6?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Well, let's see. Well, this is getting really. I'll probably put Strutter in there at number 6, just because I mean that's another great song.
Yeah.
I think that was Peter's favorite song to play, one of his favorite songs.
Yeah, I mean it's hard to argue with that because for me I think that literally was my introduction to Kiss, was putting it on that first album, and that was the first thing I heard. And, from there it was like to this point.
But I like the is it on Double Platinum where it has the extra drum beat at the beginning?
Strutter 78, yeah. I do like that version too, yeah. So that could kind of go with it since that does open up Double Platinum. Alright, so now we're down to the top 5. This is where it's going to get rough. So for me, number 5, I have to go with King of the Mountain. Again, another just classic drum fill that you're not really expecting to start the album, let alone be on a Kiss album. The stuff he was doing at that time, just night and day. That album, the stuff that's on the album versus the tour and their image does not go well together at all, because the stuff on that album is a lot heavier, but their appearance was too glammy, but listen to King of the Mountain, that opening drum part's going to catch you right off the bat, and then it just takes off from there, and oh man, it's a killer.
Yep. Strangely enough, I also had King of the Mountain as my number 5.
All right.
Basically the same reason there. I mean, if anybody up to that point wasn't sure about Eric Carr, they had no reason to have any doubts after that. Just that intro.
Yeah, I mean, if it took you that long to be unsure, that if that didn't catch you, then there was no hope.
Nothing was going to. And honestly, I think I've talked about this before in prior videos of Kiss things that I've done. Asylum is one of my favorite albums, just overall, and I think it's because of that. It's really heavy. The whole way through, it's kind of like a quintessential '80s album in a good way.
Yeah.
And I think this might be my favorite song of all the openers, just specifically as a song. Maybe not. It may not be what I would consider out of all of these the best album opening.
Yeah.
But just as a song itself, I think this might be my favorite.
I have to agree, because I kind of feel that same way about Creatures, even though it's not, the same as you said. It's not my number 1, but yet I feel like it kind of is actually the best album opener, but just not my favorite, in my opinion.
Right.
So number 5, we have a Kiss classic, Hell or Hallelujah. And same thing when that song came out, sort of like Modern Day Delilah. I first seen the lyric video that they had on YouTube, and it's like, I couldn't believe that it was that good. It was better than Modern Day Delilah, because Paul was singing his ass off. And it's like, if the whole album is that good, I hate to say I don't think the whole album's that good, but that's my opinion. But that song specifically was the best song for that for the album opener.
Yeah, it's definitely got the straight up classic rock type sound to it, and it's a good up tempo, and I'm really surprised they never opened a show with that yet.
Did that album go to number 1? Or wasn't that their first number 1 album, or was it number 2?
I think it got up to 2 or 3, something like that. I think it was like their highest charting album ever, which is odd, but
It is. I actually popped it in while I was putting the makeup on. That's the first time I've heard it in a long time, and I gotta say it hit me a lot better than prior times I've listened to it. I've always personally felt Sonic Boom hit me a little better than Monster did, but no, I enjoyed a lot, especially Wall of Sound.
yeah.
That song.
Yeah, I've always said, when you put that up against Sonic Boom, Monster is my choice. I just feel like that one's much easier to just put on and listen to the whole thing without interruption, versus Sonic Boom. There's a couple songs that it's just like, that's a little too hokey, or not as good of a song, and
Right.
Hokey pokey.
yeah. And then and then when I listen to the stuff from Sonic Boom, I just can't help but think the whole time of Paul during those concerts, boom, 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 doing that stuff. So it's like, just killed it.
Yeah.
Well, the thing that I've always been curious about, and I noticed it a lot more on Sonic Boom than Monster, is how Tommy plays a lot of what I consider like a lot of the Ace licks,
Yes.
previous songs. Some of them are really close, if not, note for note. And it's like, how would you like, what do? Do you sit down and say, okay, well, I'm going to take this song from this album, from Dressed to Kill or whatever, and I'm going to put that's signature in here? I mean, was that something that he did, just because he's a fan first and he was able to do that? Or do you think they consciously said, okay, you have to do this? You know what I mean? Because I know Paul and Gene have a lot of influence, and it's their band, basically. So I wonder how that worked, because Paul was trying to reteach Gene to get in touch with his writing, his demon character and stuff.
Right.
At that time.
That's kind of what I assumed, was that, that they consider those, riffs more of a Spaceman thing than an Ace thing, which isn't necessarily true. But I mean, I guess it's unfair for me to say that. I guess they would be the ones to correctly judge whether or not that is. But yeah, that's what I always assumed, was that because they were consciously trying to get back to the classic sound, that they probably kind of elbowed Tommy into like, hey, why don't you throw some familiar stuff in there, maybe.
I feel like Tommy probably did a lot of it on his own, because, he pretty much knows Ace inside and out. He played Ace in a tribute band for all those years, and then
he taught Ace.
yeah, with working with Ace and everything. He knows the Ace, songwriting style and guitar playing, and I love, Out of This World. I love that song.
Yeah.
I don't care if people say, oh, it sounds like an Ace song or whatever. No, it's the Spaceman song, and that's who Tommy is.
Right.
It fits him. It's a great song. Yeah, I could picture Ace singing it in my head just as well, but that's not the case. So, all right. So number 4. Oh man, I'm gonna have to go Radioactive. Just always love that track. The beginning piece used to freak me out when I was a little kid listening to that thing. Even just looking at the album cover, but just love that. Love the song itself. It's real catchy, poppy type song, but just love it. Again, I prefer the album version over the live version. It doesn't translate well live, but love the album version, obviously. So that's my number 4.
My number 4 is Creatures. It's that drum fill, man.
Yeah.
It's that drum fill.
I have to admit, that's one of my favorite songs to play too. It's fun to play. It's a killer.
Yep.
So, especially when it gets to that the solo part, that that's an awesome part, man.
Oh yeah, and honestly, the guitar solo in general is one of my favorite solos. Not specifically to play, but when I hear it, was that Robin Ford that did that solo, or maybe I'm not thinking of that right.
I think Vinny played on that one.
Okay, maybe that's what it was. It was just such a weird solo.
Yeah.
It's not the notes that you would expect, but it fits so well. I couldn't picture anything else being there.
And then the way Vinny would do it live, he would do that.
Yeah.
Like almost that whole frame, and Bruce would do it too, and I think Tommy even does it to this day, as far as I know. So
yeah,
it's just another one of those signature type things that caught on in the live version, I guess, in a way.
Right.
Well, I'll have to probably say Creatures of the Night too for mine, because I can't leave that out. Because I know we're not picking our favorite track from the album, but as far as an opening, I don't think there's any bad songs on that album either.
Oh yeah.
So, but yeah, Creatures has to be on there somewhere. So number 4, is that what we're on?
Yeah. All right, number 3. Number 3, I'm gonna go Unholy. Again, that was, to me, the first time hearing Revenge was kind of like what it would have been like the first time hearing Creatures after Elder. You know, all those years of, you know, especially with Hot in the Shade, and a couple of them albums were a little, you know, subpar. They were kind of lost in a way. And then you hear Revenge, and it was like that same thing. Like, they're back. Where has this been all this time? And Unholy was just like one of the perfect Gene songs. I loved when they did it on the Rock the Nation tour in makeup. I thought that made it so much better, seeing Gene do that in makeup. And if I'm not mistaken, did he do the blood on that too for that tour?
I think so. Because I think he flew up into the rafters and did it up there.
Yeah, see, that just adds to it right there too. I mean, killer. I mean, probably my favorite Bruce Kulick riff of all the stuff he played on. I love that riff. Again, I always go back to Alive 3, but I love the version on there too. The way, the tone of the guitar on that recording just adds to that as well. So,
Perfect.
Unholy.
My number 3 is actually I Stole Your Love. For the same reason that I picked I've Had Enough, only for the 70s, the makeup era, and personally I think it does what I've Had Enough does, but a little better.
Mm-hmm.
It's fast, it's mean, it punches you right in the face from the moment it starts, and the whole song is like that. It doesn't let up at all at any point.
Right, and you know, to me, every time I listen to that, it's like, I don't know, it's like I feel like that's the perfect, like, 70s Kiss song. Like,
yes.
it just sounds like that time, you know what I mean? Like, I have no idea, because I wasn't alive then, but I just imagine, you know, what it was like, and that, to me, that sounds like the soundtrack to what it would have been like in 77 right at that time. And, you know, they were at the height, getting to the height of the popularity, and with the merchandise and all that stuff. And, you know, watch the Detroit Rock City movie, it's like, with that song playing in the intro, and, you know, that whole movie is pretty much what I picture in my head of that 70s look when I listen to, like, that song, let alone that whole album.
Yeah.
It's like a perfect snapshot.
Yep. I always felt that way about the concert that's on Kissology from the Hot in the Shade tour, where they open the concert with that song.
Yes.
Again, perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect
Yes.
for opening that.
All right, we're back. So Brantley was on your number 3.
Number 3. I know I still have Destroyer,
Mm-hmm.
Dynasty, and the solo albums.
And
Unmasked and
Hotter
Wicked.
Than Hell.
there was, because I was going to pick Detroit Rock City and I Was Made for Loving You, but I couldn't remember what the other album was that I was going to pick from. I was trying to run through my head. I was doing that while I was running up the stairs. Let's see. See, I sort of want to say Tomorrow from Unmasked, but that's not really. I don't know. I mean, it's not like all the songs on Unmasked to me are very similar, and there's not one to me that sort of stands out as more of an opening track than another one. I mean, other than maybe Shandy or something, but so I don't really want to choose Unmasked, but I'll say I Was Made for Loving You, probably, because I used to have that on, still have it on 8-track. That's the only Kiss album that I have on cassette, 8-track, vinyl, and CD, and it's on my iPod. So
Nice.
You have some of the singles too, don't you?
well, I'm like 45s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know if I have that one on a 45 or not. Is that an edited version, like Detroit Rock City is?
It's not as bad as the Detroit Rock City 45. That one's horrible.
That one.
It's I think it's edited down to like 3 or 4 minutes versus what, almost 5 minutes on the album. Okay, so that means we're down to the top 2. See, I know what one of the two is going to be. I'm just trying to decide if it's going to be my number 1 or what.
Or what?
All right, I'm gonna go Coming Home from Unplugged. Blows the album version away, head and shoulders.
Yes.
It does.
That's all I have to say about that.
Yeah.
Well,
I just about think they wrote that one to be an acoustic song, you know? It
Right.
feels like it.
And the album version just sounds so odd compared to everything else on the album, the way that sounds. But that one just sounds so, like, muffled and, you know, just, I don't know. It's like nothing but mids.
Yeah.
well, I'm going to go with "I Want You" from Rock and Roll Over, because that's one of the first, I guess you'd call it, music videos I remember seeing from the '70s. I ordered a one of the bootleg tapes that had all the videos on it, and that one was, I thought, one of the coolest ones. I mean, I know it's basically just them on stage, more or less, probably to no audience or anything, but I thought it was really cool. And I like the song a lot because of, it starts out really soft, and then it goes ballistic.
Especially the live version. Is!
Yeah, it's like he goes really off the wires.
That's what you need to do when you open the door for the trick-or-treaters.
Yeah.
Like, I want!
Yes.
Make them say it back before you give them the candy.
They'll be calling the cops on me is what they'll be doing.
Let me hear you. They'll have you in handcuffs, putting you in the back of the car. Come on, people.
Taking me to the Psycho Circus.
Bam, bam.
Oh, no, no. I had Unholy in my number 2 spot. That's pretty much the same reasons you said earlier. That was maybe the biggest Gene's back moment,
Right.
because most of his 80s songs were pretty weak. You know, I think there were still good ones. There's still ones that I enjoy a lot, but nothing compares to that. When you hear Unholy, it's like, this is what this guy was supposed to be doing.
Exactly.
And I think after Revenge, I don't know if he had another moment like that, really.
Right. There's some good stuff on Psycho, but yeah, nothing that came close to Unholy.
Yeah, I'd say the closest thing was Within, but after that, nothing.
Yeah.
He started sounding too nasally and not so much demon-like anymore on all the stuff since. Number 1, I think it's I Stole Your Love, and same reasons again that we discussed earlier. It's just, to me, it's like the perfect time frame.
Well, my number 1, it would have to be Detroit Rock City, just because I've always said if someone, didn't know Kiss, I'd give them that song. It's like this is what Kiss is. I mean, Rock and Roll Night is really close because that's more of what they believe in type of thing. But as far as an all-around perfect song, Detroit Rock City is probably one of maybe 5 or 10 perfect songs that Kiss has, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Definitely. And I gotta justify my number 1 just a tiny bit, because it's "I'm Gonna Love You." No. Because let's be honest, Peter Criss, the solo album, is basically a best of
Right.
for Kiss.
Right. That was like, Peter's back, man.
Yeah. So my number 1 is Psycho Circus. And not because it's my favorite song at all. I feel like as an album opener, that one hit me more than any other album opener I'd ever heard. As far as I've always been a fan of having that sort of weird, effecty intro where you're not sure what's going on. It builds up the perfect amount of anxiety as to what's going to happen. And then when it comes in, more than any of the others, just a punch straight to the gut. When Paul does that, it's like, oh, holy crap, yes, goosebump moment.
If you really think about it, that's the first time they've used an album intro like that on any album. You know, it's nothing like the Detroit Rock City thing. To me, that's more of a, I don't know, you can almost call that like a musical type piece, you know, like it's almost like Broadway type thing, you know, it's telling the story.
Right.
But to use that sort of like ambient kind of weird, you know, circus music on top of that, like they've never done that. And
Right.
you know, and I admit, you know, back when it came out, I was a little apprehensive because I was kind of afraid, like, oh, I hope this is going to live up to the hype, and you know, they're not going to ruin their legacy. Like, you know, a lot of the bands at the time were putting out stuff that just, you know, nowhere near what they used to do, and that, you know, that came on, same feeling. I was just like, oh my god, yes, this is awesome.
Yeah.
Love the video to it too.
Yep.
My favorite part of the video is the part where Ace does his solo.
Yes,
And he
yes,
has space flying behind him and stuff. I thought that was really awesome.
yeah.
Yeah.
I like some of the shots of Peter when it's the breakdown on the toms and that look he's got, and you know, the whole the tour with the 3D stuff. I thought it was cool. A lot of people trash it. I thought it was cool at the time. I mean, it had its effects. I guess it mattered where you sat. I don't know, but it was a cool experience. So I mean, you know, looking through our list, it's like, you know, like mine, for example, like I left off Detroit Rock City. I left off Strutter, and those are, it's like wow, but you know, a lot of stuff like that got left off each of our lists.
We'd have to do a top 20 to include everything.
Yeah.
How many albums is there that we were counting? That we were using?
27.
Wow.
Yeah. And of course, I'm gonna have to listen to all three of our lists, even though they're the same songs mostly.
Right.
I just have to listen to them in those orders.
Yes. And there's
So-
not a bad one. I mean, this really was a tough choice because every single one of those songs could have been easily justified.
Right. I mean, like for me, leaving off Strutter and Detroit Rock City, it's like, wow, what? But I don't know. Like I already kind of justified why I left Detroit off. If we had been, you know, including Double Platinum, even though that's not the opener, you know, I love that version a lot better. You know, Strutter, it's killer, but it just, I don't know. I just didn't feel like it was in my top 10. It'd probably be like number 11 or something like that. But you know, I Want You, I love that too. But that's yeah, that's what's crazy about it, and it's definitely hard.
Yeah.
I'd like to hear Gino and Mark's list.
Yes, yes.
Definitely.
Yeah, we need to work on getting Gino on. We were talking about that. I think he wants to come on and make up.
Yep.
So see if we can get him on pretty soon too. So just a quick recap for my number one pick was I Stole Your Love from Love Gun. Luke's was Psycho Circus title track, and Branton's was Detroit Rock City from Destroyer. So definitely let us know in comments and on Facebook as well. Let us know what your top 10 would be for the opening tracks from each album. You know, tell us, were we wrong with any of our picks, or did we pretty much get it right? So that does that.
And how many of those songs have Kiss played live?
Yeah.
Oh wow. Let's see. Modern Day Delilah, Psycho Circus. I'm a Legend Night. They haven't played live. Did they play King of the Mountain live?
I heard that they played it once, but I've never seen anything to back that up.
And then Tonight You Belong to Me. Well, I mean, Paul's played it live technically, but not with Kiss. Um, Hate, they've never played live.
Have they ever done anything from Carnival Live?
You know, I don't think they have.
That's
Because
still
since the reunion and everything happened right at that time, and
You guys have to make up for that.
Yeah,
yeah,
I would totally do that.
yeah, a lot of good stuff on that album.
You could do like a medley from
There
the
you-
album.
There you go. Just a Boy, they haven't done live. I think that's about it. So, as far as stuff that we didn't choose, let's see, Room Service, I know they did live. Rip It Out, not with Kiss. I'm Gonna Love You. I don't think they've ever done X and Sex live either.
I think they did it on the Unplugged tour, but it wasn't technically Kiss. You see that video where that little boy is playing drums,
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
girl is singing, but I don't think that counts.
they did Do You Love Me too.
Yeah.
Rise to It. I'm pretty sure they did that during that
Yeah.
tour.
You can hear that in the background of one of the Kissology DVD menus.
Oh, that's right.
It's not on the actual concert set list though, for some reason.
But and then Hate. Other than that,
Yeah,
they've played just about everything else live.
nice. I was looking to see if I can find the Asylum tour set lists. I'm trying to find the first show because I assume if they would have done it once, it probably would have been at the first show.
Right. I think I've got one of those shows on DVD over there.
For some reason, I want to say that's Fort Worth, Texas. I don't know why. I don't know if that's the first date. It seems like it was, but I don't know where that comes from.
Right. Trying to see if I can find. I don't know if it started me at the end of the tour or what.
All right, so I think that's going to wrap up this episode. I don't think there's anything else to wrap up with that we're forgetting, is there? Anything you guys want to mention?
I'm drawing a blank because we had 2 weeks of stuff that went by, and I can't remember yesterday. So
Right?
Yeah, if there's some other stuff that we forgot that's happened in the last 2 weeks, we'll mention them next week. We'll go back and do some homework and see what we've missed out on, and see what else is coming up. Of course, by next week we should have all the news about the cruise. Should be pretty much over by that point.
cruise news.
Cruise news.
That could be our new segment.
Yeah.
It's cruise news. We're sending Branton out on location to the cruise to do a report.
I would. Yeah, I would.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right then. So again, good to be back after all the technical stuff got resolved. Everyone, again, welcome Luke aboard, and leave some comments. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Like the Facebook page, helps keep spreading the word. And until next week, we will see you then.